All right, happy Monday, everybody. We are live chatting about the weather for today, tomorrow, next couple days. No big changes in the forecast, but temperatures will trend hotter by about Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're designating those days as alert days for the potential of excessive heat. Obviously, every single day is hot, but those days later in the week, Thursday and Friday, I think temperatures will be soaring above 100, probably topping out around 101 to maybe 103 around the metro, and then add in the humidity. It'll create elevated heat indices, and that may be a problem for any outdoor workers. Those of you spending a long amount of time outside, going to the pool, river, beach, wherever you're going, it's going to be extremely hot compared to the August average. So we'll talk about that, the numbers, and what to expect for the week ahead, and also some fun facts about summer 2024 so far. Outside right now on this Monday, it is partly cloudy and mostly sunny. That's what to expect for the rest of the day. Highs will be right around 99 to 100 this afternoon. And take a look at summer so far. Yesterday hit 100 degrees in San Antonio. That marks the 15th day so far this year at 100 plus. Now, when you take into account last year and the year before that, it was a lot different. This time last year, we were around 44 total days. 2023 finaled out at 75 days at or above 100 degrees. Now, if you're wondering, that's a lot. I mean, it's actually an all-time record. Last year was an all-time record for triple-digit days. The average is around 18. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but normal triple-digit days for one summer, for 1 year, is about 18 to 20. Average last day in San Antonio is around late August, so we're almost near that. It's August 12th, so we're a couple of weeks away from the average last 100 day. But the latest we've ever seen one is actually in late September. So it shows you that between now and September, it still can get pretty hot. But after late August, we start to slowly trend down on our temperatures, and it's what we like to see, because also in late September and early October, that's when we start forecasting our first cold fronts. They're not cold at first, but they start to bring our temperatures down into the lower 90s, the 80s and 70s, and so on and so forth into the later fall months, which, by the way, fall officially starts on September 22nd this year, a little over a month away. Okay, we need a good soaking from Cameron, maybe a Cat 5. I don't know about that, but there is a storm out there, Cameron. It's not named yet, but it will be named Ernesto probably either by tonight or tomorrow morning. Doesn't look like it's going to be any impact to us, unfortunately, but we could use some soaking rain, that is for sure. David, you're very welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday and wonderful start to the week. Also, some good numbers right here. I'm trying to point to the right direction right there. 19.48 inches of rain so far for the year of 2024. That's San Antonio. But it shows you how dry last year was and how dry 2022 was. And the 12-month total last year was only 20.01 inches. In 2022, only 11.5. We're already almost near 20, and it's still August, and we have a lot more rain to catch up on, and I hope we see that in the coming months. But right now, next 1 to 2 weeks, pretty dry and just hot. Take a look. This is the hottest time of year between July 30th and August 16th. Our average high maxes out at 97, but remember, that's average high. A lot of times high pressure sets up over Texas. That increases our temperature over 100, 101, 102. So we'll be trending above average for the next 5 to 10 days. And no big surprise there. It is August and it's just hot. You just have to accept it. Nothing we can do about this kind of heat. Okay, right now it is 88, feels like 96 outside on this Monday morning. It is partly cloudy. Humidity is high. I mean, the dew point's running right around 73, which is making these air temperatures that are in the 80s right now feel more like the middle to upper 90s. And then wait till 4 o'clock this afternoon. It'll feel more like 105 to 110. Limit time outdoors, drink plenty of water, find shade, take breaks when you can, because this heat will contribute, if you're out there for more than an hour without water, without shade, without breaks, to heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Today's forecast, high near 100, mostly sunny if not partly cloudy by tonight, around 10 and 11. We're looking at temperatures slowly trending down back into the 80s, but overall pretty quiet. Up farther north, you can see as we get the help of visible satellite right there. Perfect. The data is lagging a little bit, but notice a couple of outflow thunderstorms and showers out near Oklahoma, entering parts of northeast Texas. But back here at home, we are quiet. We just have a few clouds overhead, and none of those clouds are producing rain. Today's forecast, maybe a 1 or 2 showers east towards Bay City, towards, let's say, Houston, mainly along the sea breeze. Coverage of rain is going to be extremely isolated. But right now the forecast stays pretty dry in the city between here, Del Rio, highs in the upper 90s, right around 100, and some isolated activity east of I-35. Our forecast primarily influenced by that big blue H, and what that's going to do is just kind of push down on the atmosphere, kind of create a lid, and that doesn't really allow rain to form. And quite the opposite. The compressing heat as it sinks, that subsidence creates just hot air. And it looks like by the weekend and even early next week, it doesn't really let up, it doesn't weaken, it moves back and forth. But overall, it's going to lead to a lot of heat, and again, no big surprise there. We would want a soaking, and sometimes, and a lot of times actually this time of year, we look to the tropics for soaking rains because with high pressure overhead, doesn't really allow for any rain to move in our direction unless it's tropical. Now, speaking of that, we have potential tropical cyclone 5. I know it's a mouthful, but it is not a named storm. Compared to this time yesterday, it was just kind of a blob of clouds and some rain, but now it has really strengthened into a pretty powerful area of pretty widespread thunderstorms. This is east of the Caribbean, east of Puerto Rico, and northeast of South America. Now, with its very broad area of low pressure, it needs to reach 39 miles an hour graded to reach tropical storm status or tropical depression status, or for it to be named, I should say. Right now it's at 35 miles an hour. It's moving west at 26, so it's moving so quick that it doesn't even have a lot of time to form a defined area of low pressure. But the thing is, there's no dust in the air, or at least a little amount of it, and the water is very warm, the air is very warm in this part of the world, which is why I think this will be Ernesto either by tonight or by tomorrow, and the forecast does call for that, making landfall in the Leeward or Windward Islands in the northeastern Caribbean by tomorrow and Tuesday, making potentially a second landfall in Puerto Rico as a tropical storm. Again, this will be Ernesto sometime Wednesday morning early. And then as it moves back out into sea, it'll interact with high pressure in the Atlantic. And what that will do is, with this clockwise circulation, that'll steer it more towards Bermuda and less towards Cuba, the Bahamas, and Florida. So at first, obviously, when these storms start off low in latitude in this area of the world, we're concerned of a U.S. landfall, but right now we're not, just because of what we're thinking it's going to do. A ridge of high pressure will steer it farther north, it'll pull it farther north, and this may be a problem for Bermuda, but for the U.S., direct impacts are not expected with this particular system. But remember, it's August. It is August, and between now and early September, that is the peak of hurricane season, and that's when we see the most tropical storms and hurricanes begin to form. So just because this one doesn't hit the U.S. doesn't mean in the next few weeks there won't be another tropical wave that we'll have to watch, and that'll be most likely the case. Again, Ernesto is next on the list. Next is Francine, Gordon, and then there's Joyce, Kirk, Leslie, Milton, Oscar, Patty, Sarah, Tony, William, and Valerie for the 2024 slate of names for the Atlantic hurricane season. Okay, Guadalupe, hope you're having a wonderful day. Hey, how are you? Hope you're doing well as well, Guadalupe. Thank you so much. Thank you again for saying have an awesome week. Yeah, hope this week's great. Obviously, it doesn't look great on the forecast, right? It's just hot, right? 100 on Thursday. Heat index values feeling more like 105 to 110, and you're very welcome, Guadalupe. Hope you have a wonderful week and a beautiful Monday, and be safe out there just because it's so hot. And I mean, there may be a small shower tomorrow evening and maybe a couple of outflows later next week, but right now, not amounting to anything measurable, and a decent storm and rain chance right now, 10 to 20% in San Antonio. Cameron, let me see. Is the hurricane season going to pick up? I've been hearing a lot that the season is going to be crazy. Yeah. So again, late August, early September typically produces the most amounts of tropical storms and hurricanes. So we're still expecting it to be pretty active. I'm trying to find a specific graphic. Remember, throughout the entire summer from May, June, July, and early August, the temperatures of the water really warm up. The air is so humid, and because of that, Let me show you real quick the tropical frequency of hurricane season. I found the graphic, and it just gives you a better representation and illustration on what the season looks like. So June, July, we see storms. We saw Beryl. We saw tropical storm and Hurricane Debbie, right, in Florida. And that represented a small chunk of the season. But between basically now and September 10th, it really starts to spike just because of how warm the water has become. There's less dust flowing across the Atlantic. Remember, dust is something that inhibits tropical storms and hurricanes, and when you have less dust around and more warmth and more heat, that typically yields more and more tropical storms and hurricanes. So we're expecting a ramp up in activity. Despite us only seeing 4 named storms so far this year, I think we'll see a few more in the coming weeks, especially as we approach September 10th, top of the season, peak of the season here in the Atlantic Basin. Okay, so that's the forecast. Let's just refresh this real quick. And Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are going to be weather impact alert days just because of the dangerous heat. A little hotter than normal. Obviously, we'll probably have to designate more days by next week as well, by the 21st, the 22nd, and 23rd of August, because temperatures don't seem to let up anytime soon, unfortunately. That's the forecast. Everybody have a great Monday. Be safe, drink plenty of water, stay hydrated. It is going to be extremely hot and no big reliefs are in sight. Maybe a small chance of a shower and storm Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night. Aside from that, rain chances are pretty low with a lot of heat in the forecast.